Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. We're into NFL Week 4. Week 3 was not my week, so hopefully Week 4 goes better. Was a crazy week in the NFL. We're getting started with a good division game here. Seattle on the road in Arizona. Let's do it. I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. All right, Seattle's on the road in Arizona. I mean, the line moved from 1 to 1.5. It actually opened up with Arizona as short favorites, but in terms of when the limits got to a decent number, it was at 1 and moved up to 1.5. So been pretty steady for a few days at the 1. It's at 1.5 now, mostly. All right, so let's get into this one. Arizona has had problems with this Seattle team. 7 straight losses to their division rivals here. Their last win was November 2021. So it's been a while since the Cardinals got a win against this Seahawks team, and now they're coming into this one without their running back, James Conner, very important piece of that Cardinals offense the last couple of years. There's also some injury concerns on the offensive line. Now, good news, it looks like Paris Johnson and Evan Brown, they participated in practice, so I would imagine they have a pretty good chance of playing, but we'll see. You do see some questionable sit out on the short week in the Thursday night game, so we'll see. Will Hernandez may finally be back from injury, but I'm not sure if he would even start if he was healthy. So we'll see. I noticed that they bumped him down. He's not listed as the starting guard anymore. So even if he's back, I'm not sure if he would be starting in this game. So yeah, no James Conner, maybe some injury concerns on the offensive line. Now, Seattle's defense is dealing with injuries also, but it looks like Julian Love and Witherspoon are both going to be back. That's probably the 2 best pieces of that Seahawks secondary. Neither of them played in the Saints game. Didn't matter. That was an absolute rout. I had Saints plus 7.5 in that one. Leonard Williams and Mafe both listed as questionable, but both did participate in practice. So I would imagine we should see the Seahawks defense at full strength here. And right off the bat, we know this is going to be a really tough matchup for the Cardinals offense. This is an offense that wants to run the ball. In fact, the last couple of years, this has been one of the most physical rushing attacks in the NFL. That was kind of their whole offensive identity last year. Not only has the run game been pretty bad so far this year, they're 30th in success rate per rush, 21st in EPA per rush, but now there's no James Conner. There's injury concerns on the offensive line, and this Seahawks defensive front looks rock solid. Now, maybe we do want to point out that Seattle hasn't played the toughest of rushing attacks yet. Their first 3 games were against the 49ers, the Steelers, the Saints, so not exactly the gauntlet in terms of tough rushing attacks, but they're holding opponents to 3.3 yards per carry, under 91 rushing yards per game, 32.8% success rate per rush. And the truth is, they've been doing this without even loading the box defensively. So this Seahawks defensive front looks really strong. And Arizona without James Conner, it's tough to see them coming in and running the football here. We can point out the fact that Seattle hasn't seen a dangerous rushing attack, but do we consider the Cardinals to be a dangerous rushing attack right now? In their first 3 games, they have a 27.7% success rate per rush. That is terrible. So this Cardinals rushing attack looks nothing like the rushing attack we saw last year. So it's tough to see Arizona running the football in this game. Now, they're at home. It's a short week. I'm sure they're going to stay diligent. You know they're going to try to run the ball. And you know what? I'm sure they're able to move the chains here and there. Thursday Night Football, home division game. I'm sure they're able to run the ball a little bit, but it's hard to count on the Cardinals consistently running the ball in this game. It's looking like if the Cardinals want to have a chance of winning this game, they're going to need Kyler Murray to be excellent. He did open up the season with a pretty good game against the Saints. I mean, they didn't really ask him to do much in that game. In fact, 31% of his pass attempts were behind the line of scrimmage in that game against the Saints. 31% of his pass attempts behind the line of scrimmage in that opener. But let's give him some credit. He was efficient. He made good decisions. He played a good game in the opener against the Saints. The last couple games weren't nearly as impressive. QB rating is down. He was under some pressure, didn't really handle the pressure well. So against the Seattle defensive front, it doesn't look great for Kyler Murray. This pass rush has been really good. They're actually second in the NFL in time to pressure, 12th in pressure rate. If Arizona is not able to provide any run support for Kyler Murray here, this could be a really difficult situation. Now, if you are betting the Cardinals, you can point at the fact that their offensive line has actually been excellent in pass protection so far this year. This is actually crazy. They're first in the NFL in time to pressure allowed, 8th in pressure rate allowed, 4th in PFF pass blocking grade. So the offensive line, the pass protection, has been excellent so far this year. But is that a reflection of who they played so far? I mean, they opened up the year against the Saints, not exactly a dynamite pass rush, and then they played the Panthers, one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL. And then they played the 49ers, and Nick Bosa only played like 12 or 13 snaps in that game. So look, I'm not saying the Cardinals offensive line, the Cardinals pass protection is actually bad. I'm just saying in terms of the pass rushes they've seen, nothing even comes close to the Seahawks. In fact, you can probably argue the 49ers without Nick Bosa, the Saints and the Panthers, that might be three of the bottom 5 pass rushes. So I'm not throwing the Cardinals a parade for having good pass protection numbers so far. This Seattle defensive front is crazy. They're second in time to pressure, like I said. So I very seriously doubt they're going to be able to keep that pass rush off of Kyler Murray. It's tough sledding for the Cardinals offense here. They're going to try to run the ball. Not sure if they can. Not sure if they're able to protect them from the pass rush. So, yeah, tough situation for the Cardinals offense. Now, on the other side of the ball, I have no idea, honestly. I truly have no idea about either of these units, the Seahawks offense or the Cardinals defense. I don't know what I think about either. I'm really not sure what I think of Sam Darnold right now. I mean, his numbers on the year look good. A 110.4 rating. He's been great with a clean pocket. He's been under pressures, handled it pretty well according to these numbers. But the Saints game is kind of skewing these numbers a little bit. Look what happens to these numbers when you take the Saints game out. Doesn't look nearly as impressive. So I'm not sure if I'm sold on Sam Darnold in this one. A road division game on a short week, a primetime road division game. Sam Darnold as a favorite, that sounds freaking crazy. That sounds like a suicide mission. Honestly, you know what it reminds me of? That Rams game last year. Vikings on the road at LA, Vikings -3. I took the Rams +3 in the YouTube channel, and the comments hated it. Like, the whole world was on the Vikings, and the Rams went out. It reminds me of that. And I was like, guys, Sam Darnold on a short week on the road, primetime. It reminds me of that game a lot. Anyway, the Cardinals defense, they've actually been pretty disruptive up front. They're generating consistent pressure. They're limiting the big downfield throws. Now, they are struggling to get off the field. 57.6% success rate per dropback certainly isn't good. But as a whole, this pass defense has been solid. Remember, Carolina scored a couple of late touchdowns in that game. The Cardinals were up 18. It was 27-9 in the fourth quarter. The Panthers scored 2 late touchdowns. They tacked on an extra 160 yards of offense there. So this Cardinals defense has actually been rock solid against the pass. Now, we have to take into consideration the 3 quarterbacks that they've played: Spencer Rattler, Bryce Young, Mac Jones. So, I mean, I don't know how seriously we can take these Cardinals pass defense numbers, especially when the secondary is dealing with all types of injuries. They've been injured all year, though, and they've been pretty good against the pass. This defensive line has been really disruptive, and unlike the Cardinals pass protection, if you remember just a minute ago, I was saying the Cardinals have excellent pass protection numbers, but I'm not really buying it because of the opponents. When it comes to this Cardinals defensive front, I'm more inclined to believe that this might be a pretty good unit. Keep in mind, they completely rebuilt this defensive line. They brought in Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson. These are all new pieces. Davis Gaither. So they completely retooled this defensive front, and it's been really disruptive. Darius Robinson, by the way, that's their first-round pick from last year. So this defensive line might actually be greatly improved this year for Arizona. I actually am down to believe that. It's the secondary where they're dealing with so many injuries. We don't even know if Will Johnson's back yet. He's listed as questionable. That would be their 4th corner, the guy from Michigan. So it's the secondary where I'm not really sold. As of right now, nobody's taken advantage of it. And yes, they haven't played a decent quarterback yet. Is Sam Darnold that decent quarterback in a road division primetime game? That's the guy that's going to exploit the secondary? Keep in mind, Sam Darnold might not have run support in this game. Seattle's been trying to run the ball. They haven't been successful. In their first 3 games, 96.3 rushing yards per game, 3.3 yards per carry. The Seahawks run game hasn't been very good against a Cardinals run defense that, like I said, they've been pretty good. They haven't played the best rushing attacks, but 3.79 yards per carry allowed, 77 rushing yards per game, success rate per rush under 33%. This run defense has been really good. So again, we're talking about Sam Darnold, road division primetime game with possibly no run support sounds like a death sentence, if you ask me. That's what I expect to see in this game. I expect both teams to stay disciplined and stick to the run. Arizona has to run because if they drop Kyler Murray back too many times against that Seahawks pass rush, could be bad news. And kind of the same thing for Seattle. They've been pretty diligent sticking to the run so far this season. Road, short week, division primetime game. I'm not sure if I'm trying to drop Sam Darnold back a bunch of times in this game. So, yeah, I would expect both teams to stick to the run in this one. As far as the pick, I think my favorite pick on the board would be the under 43.5. I know the Seahawks have run a fast pace so far this year, but I expect a lot of running the football, maybe just some sustained drives. And the Cardinals have been super slow. So if they're able to grab a couple first downs, they can easily put together a 6-7 minute drive and just kill a possible over. So I like the under. As far as the side, I mean, dude, it's Thursday night football the day before the game. Give me the Cardinals just to be contrarian. I don't think there's any. I don't know. I obviously the Seahawks are the better team, but I don't really trust Sam Darnold as a road favorite in primetime. So I'll take the Cardinals as a road favorite. But obviously this market's going to be efficient. And you know what? Real quick, I'll talk about efficient markets real quick. So this is big during NFL season because it's some of the sharpest markets in the world. And I think people don't 100% understand what that means. So I'm going to go through it real quick. So these markets are shaped by professional betting groups or betting syndicates or whatever you want to call them. It's not a guy placing a bet on a FanDuel app or whatever. It's a network of people that consists of handicappers, traders, and movers these people have access to dozens and dozens of accounts. They have people in different states that will physically go to the casinos and place bets. So when they make a move, they're not placing a bet. They're placing a lot of bets. I mean, these are the type of groups that will take 7-figure positions. We're talking about millions of dollars into these markets. And these are the type of groups that shape the market. We're talking about millions of dollars, the sharpest football minds in the world. So I'm going to paint out an example market. This is obviously fake, just so you can visualize it. So let's say Bears, Packers in Green Bay. In this example, we're going to be talking about 4 different betting groups, betting syndicates, whatever word you want to use for them. We're Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D. Each group gets a fair price from their handicappers or handicapping team or quants or whatever you want to call them. So let's say Group A, their fair number for this game is 6.1, Group B, 6.2, Group C, 6.8, Group D, 6.9. So these 4 groups go to the market with the fair number from their handicappers, right? The market opens. Green Bay minus 4.5. Now, obviously, when the market opens, the limits are going to be super low, and groups like this may not even bet yet because the limits might be 10K, and these are groups that are trying to get down millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, so might not be worth it for them to bet yet. But for this example, let's pretend it's Wednesday and the limits are high enough for them to start betting. So, Green Bay minus 4.5. At the current listed price of 4.5, Group A, whose fair price is 6.1, they're saying, according to our numbers, we've got a 57.8% chance of covering this bet. And at minus 110, we've got a 5.42% edge. Again, these are made up numbers. You would need an actual market to calculate the actual edge because you have to factor in the total. You can't just do it blindly. You need an actual market. So for this example, let's pretend it's 5.42%. So Group A is like, oh, we got a strong edge on the Packers at minus 4.5. Group B, whose fair number is 6.2, they're saying, according to our numbers, we have a 58.1% chance of covering this bet on Green Bay minus 4.5. So at minus 110, we've got a 5.72% edge. They got a strong edge on Green Bay. Group C, their fair number is 6.8. They're saying, according to our numbers, we have a 59.7% chance of covering this bet, a 7.33% edge. We're talking about a huge edge now. And Group D, they're saying, according to our numbers, we have a 60% chance of covering this bet, a 7.62% edge at minus 110. So all 4 of these groups who have different fair prices, they're all seeing a huge edge on Green Bay at minus 4.5. So they're all going to bet the max, take a position on Green Bay minus 4.5 at minus 110. So what does the sportsbook do? Well, they react. They're saying, shit, all of our sharp accounts are hitting the Packers at minus 4.5. Let's bump it up to a soft 6. By a soft 6, I mean a Green Bay minus 6, minus 105. So they react to their sharp accounts. They bump it up to a minus 6, minus 105. Now at that number, Group A is saying, according to our numbers, we got a 3.5% chance of pushing, 48.5% chance of winning, and a 48% chance of losing. minus 1.8% edge there. We're not going to make money. It's a pass for us. The market's good at 6. Same goes for Group B. Slightly different percentages. No edge there. Negative edge. They will lose money betting Green Bay minus 6 at that number. Group C, they're saying, hey, we still got a 50.5% chance of winning this bet according to our numbers. 46% chance of losing this bet at minus 6, minus 105. So at minus 105 odds, according to our numbers, we still got a 2.1% edge on Green Bay minus 6. So they're still going to hit the Packers minus 6 at minus 105. And same goes for Group D. Their fair number is 6.9. And according to their numbers, they still have a 2.7% edge on Green Bay minus 6, minus 105. So they're still going to hit the Packers. So at this number, Group C and Group D are going to hit it. Group A and Group B are going to pass. So the sportsbook reacts. They're saying, oh shit, we're still taking sharp money on the Green Bay side at minus 6. Let's move it up to minus 7. So they moved the line up to minus 7. Now, Groups A and B, whose fair price were 6.1 and 6.2, they passed on the 6. Now they're saying, hey, we've got a 3.42% edge on Chicago plus 7. They've taken it too far. We're going to buy back on the Bears at plus 7. The Group B, who has a 6.2 fair number, they've got a 2.95% edge according to their numbers. So Group A and B are going to buy back on the Bears at plus 7. Group C and D, whose fair numbers are 6.8 and 6.9, they're passing. No edge at 7. So now Group A and B, who passed at 6, they will buy on the Bears on the other side at plus 7. So what does the sportsbook do? They react. They move it to a flat 6.5, minus 110. So what happens when they move the number to 6.5? Well, none of these 4 groups are seeing a positive edge at 6.5, both on the Packers minus 6.5 side and the Bears plus 6.5 side. None of them are seeing a positive edge. The market's efficient. So what does that mean for you? If you place a bet with minus 110 odds, essentially what you are saying is you believe that bet has a 52.3% chance or a greater than 52.3% chance of hitting, because that's the break-even point for a minus 110 wager. So by betting the Packers minus 6.5 at minus 110, you're essentially saying, I believe the Packers have a greater than 52.3% chance of winning this game by 7 or more. So what's the problem with that? If you bet the Packers minus 6.5 at minus 110 at close, according to these groups, Packers minus 6.5 has a 48.5% chance of hitting, 48.8, 50.5, 50.8. Not one of these groups has Packers minus 6.5 hitting at a 52.3% chance or greater. All 4 of these groups agree, according to their numbers, Packers minus 6.5 is a bad bet. Now, you still have a 50% chance of hitting, according to these groups, and that's where people get lost. They're like, but it won. Yeah, you got a 50% shot. You're not going to make money at minus 110. You're going to win some of the bets, and that's kind of the purgatory most gamblers are in. They're betting into efficient markets, and they truly don't realize it. They will bet into these markets for years and years, and they will swear on a Bible, pass a lie detector test that they are winning, but the truth is they're not, and they're not lying. They just truly don't know. It's a psychological thing. They'll pass a lie detector test. And the same goes for the Bears plus 6.5, by the way. If you place a bet Bears plus 6.5 minus 110, yeah, you've got a 50% chance of hitting, but you need it to hit a 52.3% chance, 52.3% or greater. And according to these 4 groups, Bears plus 6.5 will hit 51.5%, 51.2%, 49.5%, 49.2%. So essentially, if you're placing a bet on the Packers minus 6.5 minus 110 or the Bears plus 6.5 at minus 110, you are saying that essentially what you're saying is you are sharper. Your numbers are more accurate than all of the sharp groups that have dumped millions of dollars into that market to shape it. Because you're saying, oh, no, your projections are wrong. I watch the Red Zone channel. I got this. I know ball. So that's essentially what you're saying. You can see how insane that sounds. I'm going to give you another example so you can visualize it. So say they open up, what's something stupid? Let's say a sportsbook opens up Kyle over-under push-ups. Kyle Kirms, over-under push-ups. They open it up at 40.5. You're placing bets into the market, right? The line's moving around. Then my brother goes into Circa, drops $100K on the over at 42.5. My brother walks into Circa, puts $100K on the over 42.5. Now, Circa knows who their sharp accounts are. So in this example, my brother would be somebody, obviously, who would have an accurate prediction. Compare that to a sharp betting group with a history of being accurate. So Circa's like, oh shit, that's Kyle's brother. Put 100K on the over. Let's move the line up to 44.5. So they move the line up to 44.5. Then my personal trainer goes into Circa, drops 200K on the under at 44.5. They drop it to 43.5. My brother's not touching it. Trainer's not touching it. So there's your efficient market, 43.5. Now you can place bets into that market and you have a 50% chance of hitting, but the idea that your guess is going to be more accurate than my brother's or my personal trainers is just not realistic. You could be an expert in exercise science. You could be all kinds of stuff. You could study my breathing on the live streams. Your guess is not going to be more accurate than them, because according to their wagers, the best estimation on how many push-ups I can do is 43 or 44. So at 43.5 minus 110, you're not going to hit at 52.3% chance or better. That probably wasn't the best example. The point I'm making is by placing a bet into the market at close, you're saying your numbers are more accurate than all of those sharp groups, which is obviously an insane thing to think. I don't think people realize how if you were able to beat NFL lines at post, I don't think people realize exactly what that is. So I'm going to give you another illustration. Let's say, so the NFL lines at post, you can bet limitless amounts of money. I mean, you could walk into a casino, 200,000 cash, place it, fine. No proxy, no runners, nothing. They will take your bet. And between different accounts, and you can bet limitless, millions and millions of dollars at post. They will take your bet because they're confident in their number at that time. So by saying you can beat NFL lines at post, you're claiming to have an edge over the house in a limitless market. And I'm going to give you a comparison so you can see what a crazy claim that is. So let's say somebody comes up to you and they're like, yo, I figured out a way to get down on black or red at the roulette table at plus 125. I can get down on black or red at the roulette table at plus 125. What would your reaction be? Well, your first question would be, why aren't you worth $100 billion, right? Why are you not worth $100 billion? Why do you not have a sizable share in ExxonMobil right now? What do you mean you beat the roulette table? Why are you not worth $100 billion? That would be your first question. Number two, and this is why the sharp sports betting community loses their mind over the sports betting media. Number two, question number one would be, why are you not worth $100 billion? Question number two, why are you telling me? Why are you telling me this? You're telling me you beat the house? You beat the house and you're telling me? You know what beating the house looks like? You know what would happen if you actually figured out a way to get down on plus 125 on black or red at the roulette table? If you actually beat the house, you wouldn't tell a soul, and you would sit there until you had so much money. You wouldn't tell anybody. So yeah, the idea that you can beat the lines at close is a crazy claim to make. And to take it a step further, and I apologize, I'm really ranting now. I didn't plan on doing this, but to take it a step further, theoretically, it doesn't even exist. Hear me out on this. So it doesn't even exist. Let's say I've built an AI-based model that measures NFL offensive lines in a way that has never existed before. I have a new offensive line metric that's incredibly accurate, and I now have an advantage that the market doesn't have. So I'm able to bet into the numbers at post because I have an advantage. I have a model that no one else has. You with me so far? There's our scenario. I can bet and beat the numbers at post. In that scenario, I would accumulate wealth very quickly, right? I can beat NFL lines in a limitless market. So I would accumulate wealth very quickly. And in time, I mean, obviously all my accounts on the rec books would be limited pretty fast. I would be betting on sharp books and my accounts would get flagged and I would be moving the market. So even if someone does develop a way, and that happens, people find new edges, develop a way to beat the close, they would eventually move the number where they're no longer beating the close. They're part of the influence that's creating the close. So theoretically, it doesn't even exist anyway. Wow, yeah. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Oh, so the biggest myth in sports betting is that you are losing money because your picks are bad. And that is the biggest myth. Like people think, oh, if I just had better picks, like I'm losing money, I just need better picks. And there are so many people in the sports betting industry preying on people with that. Like, oh, no, you need my picks. My picks are, you got to buy my picks, right? People think, oh, I just need better picks. That is a myth. You are losing money not because your picks are bad. You are losing money because of the VIG. Check this out. So Toast, and I'm using Toast as an example because he had a bad MLB season. So Toast right now, he actually got a chunk of it back recently. As of the 21st, he's down 29.4 units in the MLB. Negative 29.4 units. So you're thinking, oh, he had bad picks this year, right? Oh, Toast made bad picks, minus 29.4 units. Do you want to know what your record would be or what your earnings would be if you faded every single one of Toast picks this year? Minus 54.13 units. You are not losing money because your picks are bad. You are losing money because of the VIG. And here's something to really wrap your head around, and you're going to hate this one. But think about this. At close, every single person in the world is going to be 50%. And I mean me, you, a random person on the street, a woman in Switzerland that's never watched an NFL game in her life. All of our picks at close will go 50% over time. Not because this person knows as much about football as I do, but because neither of us are sharper than the numbers that shape the market. We're all going to be 50% because the markets are efficient. So right now you might be thinking, are you saying there's no way to win? No, of course not. I mean, dude, you got a 50% chance of winning. Bet away, man. Let's have fun. I do it all the time. I do it pretty much every week on Monday Night Football. So it's not what I'm saying. Just in terms of winning long term, obviously, you're not going to win any money betting into the numbers at post. It's more just having fun, trying to pick some winners. Now, as recreational bettors, we do have, and I say we, me too. I'm not betting hundreds of thousands of dollars into these markets. So as rec bettors, we do have an advantage over the sharp betting groups. We have a huge advantage, the biggest advantage ever. We don't have to wait. The line's open. The limits are only 10K. They have to wait until the limits get higher so they can get a sizable wager down. We don't. We can bet right away. So we get first dibs on the market. That's our advantage as rec bettors. So of course, it's still fun to have. Yeah. Sorry for the rant. I'll end it here. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.